Hello there, very good evening and welcome to your Primetime News Bulletin. I'm Shane Silva.
I'm Stephanie Lazarus. Let's start off with a look at tonight's headlines.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that a program will be implemented to provide clean water for all. 2 jailers reported missing after a raft capsizes on the Tissa River in Anuradhapura. No rain, no relief. Public to return empty-handed after they went to receive drought aid in Monragala. The government expresses varying opinions on fuel prices.
රටට ඉතාම අත්‍යවශ්‍යයි ඉන්ධන පිළිබඳ පැහැදිලි මිල සූත්‍රයක්. අපි දැනගන්න ඕනේ පෙට්‍රල් ඇත්ත බිලද අපි ගෙවන්නේ කියලා.
ඉන්ධනවට අපි මිල සූත්‍රයක් කියනවා නම් අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම අපිට සහනාධාර ක්‍රමයෙන් ඉවත් වෙන්න.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that a program will be implemented to provide clean water for all. The President made this statement addressing a function held at the Sri Jasundararama Viharaya in Nadungamuwa.
We have decided to create a program through which everyone in the country would be able to obtain pipe-borne water. Earlier when I said that I was going to fix all the roads, they laughed at me. They might laugh at this as well. However, the people who know are sure that we can do this. We will never say something that we cannot accomplish. From next year, a majority of our funds will be directed towards the irrigation and the agriculture sectors.
A large number of people arrived at the Monragala Divisional Secretariat office today to obtain drought relief. However, the public had to return empty-handed.
Residents of 15 Gramanildari divisions in the Monragala area arrived at the Monragala Division Secretariat after receiving word that drought relief worth 2,500 rupees is being distributed. However, the residents who arrived at the location were greeted with this notice. As a result, they had to return empty-handed. They said they are providing drought relief. Now the officers who are inside are saying that it will not be given today. Meanwhile, the All-Island Govijana Sammelana submitted a petition to the Supreme Court today calling on officials to distribute drought relief to all affected districts and not only Monragala.
There should be equal rights. There cannot be a disparity. People in the Badula district have been omitted in this process. Why don't the other people qualify for this aid? If people have been affected by the drought, then all affected persons should receive equal aid. There are farmers belonging to 7 districts here. We are calling on the Supreme Court to ensure that all 7 communities receive equal treatment.
Meanwhile, PAFREL filed a motion with the Supreme Court today urging the court to focus its attention on less known aspects of the drought relief program.
Through the petition, we hope to formulate a method where the approval of election secretariat is necessary to distribute relief in areas which will be facing an election.
With just days to go for the UA Provincial Council polls, we at Newsfirst are ready to provide you with the election results both first and fast. In the meantime, the police headquarters says that steps have been taken to beef up the security in the UA province. Police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rohana says that these steps are being taken to ensure that the environment required for a free and fair election is in place. While the police are beefing up security in the province, another incident of election violence was reported in the Urania area in Mahyanganaya.
An unidentified group had attacked several JVP campaigners at the Urania area early this morning. Our reporter says that the attack occurred when the campaigners were putting up posters with regard to a JVP election rally for which authorization had been obtained. The victims claim that their attackers had abducted them and tortured them.
There were about 10 of them armed with wooden clubs and they started beating us. They took us to the Nagadipa reservoir bed. We needed to escape and since they were drunk, we were able to do so.
Two UPFA campaigners who claim to have been injured in the incident which occurred this morning have also been admitted to the Urania hospital.
There are only 5 days left for the UA Provincial Council poll. Now, regardless of the measures taken by security forces and election officials to uphold the law, it is evident that some candidates and their campaigners are dissatisfied. Newsfirst Lakmal Kirindagala from the Monoragala District Office of the Newsfirst UA Election Bureau filed this report.
An unidentified group had attacked several JVP campaigners at the Urania area early this morning. Our reporter says that the attack occurred when the campaigners were putting up posters with regard to a JVP election rally for which authorization had been obtained. The victims claim that their attackers had abducted them and tortured them.
There were about 10 of them armed with wooden clubs and they started beating us. They took us to the Nagadipa reservoir bed. We needed to escape and since they were drunk, we were able to do so.
Two UPFA campaigners who claim to have been injured in the incident which occurred this morning have also been admitted to the Urania hospital.
Up next is the battle for Uva.
On every stage, Lakshman said his blood is green in colour and that even his dog wouldn't go to the SLFP. Now look at him.
We got the best people from the Vielawe area onto our side. How were we able to do this? We went and spoke to them. That is how we were able to get them to our side. When the road is clear, why should we follow something else?
UNPers cross over all the time. In the villages, there is a saying that they bleed green. If a UNP government is established, then they will cross over.
Many of our supporters headed to the UNP office to get goods which were being distributed. I rounded up everyone who went and I told them that I will provide the necessary goods. People are distancing themselves from politics because of such cheap actions.
Politicians are following their personal agendas and you are being led astray. These so-called leading political parties have always led people astray when they come into power.
It is difficult to object from outside the government. However, work gets done because of the stand we take from within the government.
We lost power in 1994. It has been 20 years. However, the current economy is the same as when we left power in 1994.
I hope to transform Uva into the best province in the country. The amount of things we did not gain far outweigh the amount of things we have gained. We are doing our best to bring all these things to our province.
There is only one reply you have to give to this Chief Minister. On the 20th, go to the polling stations and strike a devastating blow to him.
Whatever happens, the people of the Monoragala district are ready to make our party emerge victorious.
Just because you hold bicycle races, you won't get votes. Tell those people who are joking around that they will have to take their bicycles in a cart after the 21st.
We will not be left with anything because of this current political culture.
UNP national leader and opposition leader Ranil Wickremesinghe says that the entire party has been united on one stage following the challenge extended by the government. The opposition leader expressed these views at an event held in Dabethanna in Bandarwala yesterday.
We are waiting to take the provincial council into our hands. When we are given the vote, state funds will flow to the Uva province. At the same time, I will secure foreign aid for the Uva provincial council. I will also bring funds from the central government to Uva. The government challenged us to bring everyone onto one stage in order to claim victory. I brought everyone onto one stage in Passara. We are all there now.
The JVP charges that propaganda activities for the Uva Provincial Council election are underway with the full might of state power. Addressing a media briefing at the party headquarters, General Secretary of the party, Tilvin Silva, expressed these views.
There is a new trend in flouting election laws. Election laws are being flouted under the leadership of the president. In such a backdrop, the police cannot do anything. The president organizes a number of opening ceremonies and events targeted for the election period. These automatically get converted into propaganda rallies. According to election laws, if there is a meeting to be held, then flags and banners can only be erected at the location where the meeting is taking place. After the meeting, they should be removed. A situation has occurred where the president is participating in events where the arrival of a Pradeshya Sabha member or a parliamentarian would suffice. However much the government boasts, they have already lost the election.
Tilvin Silva went on to note that the government is engaging in a program to obtain votes of the public by inciting fear.
At one time there was a Pajero-phobia in the country. Now this has been converted into a defender-phobia. All these vehicles bear WP registration plates. That means they are from the Western Province. Some vehicles have red color number plates or garage number plates. Officials don't see these things. Only we see it. What they are attempting to do is, instead of increasing their voter base, they are trying to instill fear in the people who would cast their vote against the government. They are trying to stop these people from coming to the polling centre.
At a media briefing convened in Colombo today, the UPFA remarked on allegations of the breach of election laws.
I saw in a newspaper that some political parties in the opposition had commented on psychological attacks. I do not know what the psychological attack is. We witnessed a psychological attack in the 1989 presidential election. The election was not held in 42 polling stations in the Munaragala district. Why was it not held? Because of the terror campaigns of the then government and the JVP. That was a psychological attack. 24 years have now lapsed. Such a society has now been transformed. We have a suspicion now as to whether they are preparing for psychological attacks at the upcoming main election as they did in the past.
Who has been given state vehicles? We pump petrol at our own cost. Show us if you can. We pay for the petrol ourselves.
We have not put forward a Muslim candidate because at present the Muslim and Sinhala people are living together in fraternity and harmony. We cannot do away with that. If we can get what we desire through the councillors and the ministers in that province, then we can affirm the harmony in that area. We do not wish to destroy it. The Muslim people have decided collectively to move forward with the government.
And with that, we go in for a short commercial break.
Coming up on the news tonight, Paris has become the focal point as foreign ministers from across the world gather to discuss how to defeat the Islamic State group or IS in Iraq and Syria. Will US Secretary of State John Kerry manage to drum up enough support for President Obama's plan of action? What action will be decided on? A comprehensive report coming up on the international desk. Moving on to more local news, 2 jailers have been reported missing after a raft capsized on the Tissa River in Anuradhapura. The police say that 1 person survived in the incident that occurred this evening. 5 jailers had been bathing in the Tissa River in Anuradhapura this evening, and our reporter says that 3 of them had climbed on a raft and had ventured further into the reservoir. The survivor is being treated at the Anuradhapura Teaching Hospital. Searching operations are underway for the 2 missing jailers.
Minister of Petroleum Industries Anura Priyadarshanayapa says that the domestic fuel prices cannot be lowered in spite of the dip in world oil prices. He points out that while the price of crude oil has reduced, there has been no significant reduction in the price of refined fuel.
The price of a barrel of Brent crude was at $97.11 in the world market today, while the WTI crude or Texas Light Sweet was selling at $92.27 a barrel. In the past 3 months, crude oil prices have reduced by about $15 a barrel in the world market.
A clear fuel pricing formula is necessary for this country. We need to know whether we are paying the true cost of our petrol and electricity. We need to know how much tax we are paying and how much we are paying for actual fuel. I call upon all of you to read the 2013 annual report of the Petroleum Corporation. It clearly states the prices of fuel when it is unloaded at the port. It says that a litre of 90-octane petrol is 95 rupees, but it is sold at 161 rupees. How is this bill calculated? We need to know this. Therefore, a pricing formula is a necessity.
However, the Petroleum Industries Minister Anura Priyadarshanayapa notes that although petrol is being sold at a profit, the Petroleum Corporation continues to incur losses on diesel and kerosene sales.
We can see a reduction in prices after we open the latest crude oil tender. However, there has been no significant reduction in the price of finished products in the Singapore market. If we are to implement a fuel price formula, we will have to step away from the subsidy system. We provide a subsidy for 2 main fuel types in the market. Since we are selling at below the production cost, it is difficult for me to accept that argument.
Government ministers also hold contradicting views on the Norochole coal power plant.
The capacity of the Norochole power station will be increased to 900 megawatts. This is a major revolution in the country's power sector and in the economy. Once these 300 megawatts are added to the national grid, even if there is a 365-day drought in the country and hydropower generation drops to zero, we can guarantee that we will provide a continuous electricity supply with no power cuts.
මෙරටේ විදුලි අඛණ්ඩව සපයන්න පුළුවන් කියලා සහතිකයක් දෙන්න පුළුවන්.
ගොඩනැගිලි ගණනාවක් මේ වෙනකොට අතරම 40කට ආසන්න ප්‍රමාණයක් කොළඹ නගරයේ ගොඩනැගෙනවා. ඒකට අවශ්‍ය විශාල විදුලි බල ශක්තිය.
About 40 new buildings are coming up in Colombo, and this will require a large amount of electricity. Supplying them with power has become a major challenge. Even if the Putlam power station generates 900 megawatts, all that power cannot be brought to Colombo. This is because the grid does not have the capacity to supply 900 megawatts. A line has been proposed to Anuradhapura, but that is yet to be built. At the same time, the coal required to generate 900 megawatts cannot be unloaded because the jetty does not have the capacity. These are the shortcomings that are evident in the planning.
Two road accidents involving 2 politicians were reported yesterday.
A vehicle attached to the security detail of opposition leader and leader of the UMP, Ranil Wickremesinghe, met with an accident while returning from a rally in the Halyala area. The accident took place in close proximity to the Blackpool area in Spring Valley, Halyala. According to the police, the accident, which occurred around 8 p.m, injured 2 persons. The injured were admitted to the Badula Base Hospital, according to a correspondent in the area. Parliamentarian Upeksha Swarnamali's jeep collided with a 3-wheeler yesterday. The accident took place in the Bokalagama junction along the Veyangoda Mirigama road. An individual was injured in the accident and was admitted to the Vatupitivala hospital. The driver of the jeep was taken into police custody along with the vehicle.
Several incidents of road accidents involving politicians reported this year. Deputy Minister Duminda Disanayake meets with an accident in Padeniya, Galgamua. MP Vidura Wickramanayake meets with an accident in Horana. JVP leader Anro Kumara Disanayake meets with an accident in Holipitiya, Ratnapura. MP Aljit Mana Peruma injured in an accident on the Southern Expressway in Dodangoda. For your attention.
Secretary to the Ministry of Defence and Urban Development, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, said that construction work on 5,000 houses for underprivileged persons in Colombo has been completed. He made this statement at an event held in Colombo today.
The Orugodawatta Puradora Sevana housing scheme was vested in the public today by Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa.
මේ ව්‍යාපෘති ආරම්භ කිරීමේදී මේ විරුද්ධ පක්ෂය විවිධ මත අරගෙන ගියා මේ කට්ටිය.
The opposition made various remarks when we started the project. They levelled allegations saying that these people will be sent to Jaffna or Batticaloa and that the lands will be acquired and sold out. Now you must have experienced it firsthand, the aim of the Mahinda Chintanaya. 20,000 houses are being built, 5,000 of which have been completed. Around 2,000 people have already settled in these houses.
එයින් 5000ක් මේ වනටත් අවසానයි. මම හිතන්නේ මේ වෙනකොටත් අපි 2000ක පමණ පදිංචි කරලා තියෙනවා.
The secretary who inspected the houses also engaged in cordial conversation with the public.
Welcome back to the news.
UNP activists say that parliamentarian Mangala Samaravira will not be allowed to dilute or destroy the United National Party. They point out that parliamentarian Samaravira will never realize his dreams within the United National Party.
The man who entered the UNP recently and destroyed the party is now trying to act as the party's saviour. I was in Vaunia for 7.5 years from 1994. I was in Vaunia for 7.5 years, and it is only after the UNP victory in 2001 that I was able to return to the village. That is how they exacted vengeance from us. It was not only me. He exacted a nasty vengeance from UNP activists in the Mathura district. We can remember how Mangala Samaravira, who speaks of the media today, acted when he was the media minister. Mangala Samaravira does not need the media, but we need the media. Mangala Samaravira does not want the elephant, but we want the elephant. Mangala Samaravira does not want the colour green, but we want the colour green. This is a party of the majority. This is not Mangala Samaravira's party. Thereby, we will not in any way allow Mangala Samaravira to destroy this party. What does Mangala want? Mangala does not want to make Ranil Wickremesinghe victorious. Mangala wishes to bring his former leader, Madam Chandrika Bandaranaike, and put her forward as the candidate. We will never allow this to happen. We wish to say to Mangala Samaravira to please stop destroying this party and go back to where he came from if it is possible for him. We do not need any like Mangala Samaravira. We know who Mangala Samaravira is, and we do not need him at all. My father has been a UNPer, and we have been UNPers for generations since 49. He was a village head and was awarded a medal by the Queen. I, Seneviratna, as a Gramaniladari and the son of this person who worked for the establishment and strengthening of the UNP, will not allow Mangala Samaravira or anyone else to act according to their whim and change this party. I am definitely against it. This is a good national party. It is a party that has served the nation.
Up next is our investigative journalism segment, Action TV.
The ancient stone carvings scattered around it bear testament to the historic value of the Yakkirilla Rajamahavihara in Seruava. According to these carvings, it can be concluded that the Yakkirilla Rajamahavihara was constructed in the 3rd century BC. As such, it must be apt if these premises were conserved as a national heritage site. The ancient temple, which is centered around a cave, is believed to have last been renovated between 1747 and 1787. While the temple later fell into decline with monks not residing there, the people of Seruava are to be congratulated for their efforts to preserve this possible national heritage site. Nevertheless, as of recently, the Yakirilla Raja Mahavihara too has fallen to the grasp of treasure thieves.
Thieves have broken into the temple and have made off with the treasure that was concealed in the chest area and head of the statues of Lord Buddha.
The action of the thieves don't speak much for the placard that has been placed here. While the placard has done nothing to deter treasure thieves, it does prevent the chief incumbent and the benefactors from carrying out any renovation work. As a result of those responsible for placing this placard failing to even inquire into this ancient temple, let alone renovate it, the cave temple, which contains many possible priceless frescoes, is on the brink of ruin.
The historic statue of the sleeping Buddha and the frescoes in the cave are dilapidated and on the brink of ruin. We have informed the authorities of the archaeology department regarding the problem, and while they have accepted the threat posed by termites, I must note that this has been a mere statement on their part and they have not taken any action.
Is the archaeology department delaying taking action in order to determine the extent of the damage that termites can cause? Commissioner General of Archaeology, this one is over to you. Today marks day 7 of the Dampal Riasariya convoy, which is being held to mark the 150th anniversary of Anagarika Dharmapala. The convoy made its way to Ambalangoda today. The Dampal Riasariya convoy is a joint initiative of the Sri Lanka Mahabodhi Society and Newsfirst.
The convoy departed from the Akurasa Sila Ratana Rame in Banagala, Akurasa at noon today. The convoy was open for public viewing from 9 am. The convoy got underway following religious observances led by Venerable Valalavita Nandathero and the Parivinadyaksha of the Banagala Upatissa Mulika Pirivena in Mathura. The Sobana Maligawa automobile used by Anagarika Dharmapala is also being showcased to the public as part of this convoy.
ශ්‍රීමත් අනගාරික ධර්මපාලතුමා ගමන් කළ රථය වූ ස්ථූපන මාලිගාවද මෙහිදී ප්‍රදර්ශනය කෙරුණා.
පානගල ජනතාව එදා ඉඳලාම අනගාරික ධර්මපාලතුමාට වගේම
The people of Banagala have had a close relationship with Anagarika Dharmapala and the Mahabodhi Society. Our villagers reminisce about the work done by Anagarika Dharmapala and appreciated as they have done in the past. I am personally very happy that we were able to showcase this vehicle to these people.
කෘතවේදී ජනතාවට මෙම රථය ප්‍රදර්ශනය කරන්න අවස්ථාව.
The UN Human Settlements Programme, or UN Habitat, in partnership with the Municipal Council of Akrepattu, the Urban Councils of Vaunia and Mana and the Pradesh Sabha of Marithampattu in Muletiv, officially launched the disaster reduction and preparedness plans for each city in Colombo today. These plans have been developed with funding from the Australian government.
The disaster risk reduction or DRR plans were officially handed over to the chief guest Dulip Wijesekara, Deputy Minister of Disaster Management, and the guest of honour Sonia Kopp, the Deputy High Commissioner of Australia to Sri Lanka, by UN Habitat and representatives of the local councils.
The preparation of disaster risk reduction plans in Vaunia, Mana, Mulativu and Akrepattu will directly benefit around 165,000 people, as well as businesses and public officials in these cities. They are now more aware of the risks, better able to protect lives and property, and have coping mechanisms to respond to and recover from natural hazards.
The launch of the DRR plans marks the conclusion of Phase 2 of the Disaster Resilient City Development Strategies project initiated by UN Habitat with funding from the Australian government. Under Phase 1 of the project, DRR plans were prepared for the cities of Batticaloa, Kalmune, Ratnapura and Balangoda.
Issuing a communique, opposition leader and UNP national leader Ranil Wickremesinghe has welcomed the visit of President of the People's Republic of China and General Secretary of the Chinese Communist Party Xi Jinping to Colombo. Wickramasinghe notes that China is a long-time friend of Sri Lanka and that the two countries share a deep cultural, economic and political relationship. He adds, quote, "Together our two nations have weathered many storms and collaborated effectively for the mutual benefit of our people," unquote. In his statement, the opposition leader says that when China decided to liberalize trade and open its economy to the world, Beijing's leaders turned to Sri Lanka for lessons learnt in liberal trade and attracting investment, sending its economists and trade specialists to Colombo to study the work of the Greater Colombo Economic Commission that preceded the current Board of Investment. He notes that it is an honor to have the Chinese president in Sri Lanka on this important visit and expresses the UNP's hope that Sri Lanka-China relations can continue to prosper and stand strong through the years based on mutual respect and amity.
French President François Hollande says the global threat posed by Islamic State militants must meet a global response. He was opening an international summit of foreign ministers in Paris aimed at combating the jihadist group. About 40 countries, including 10 Arab states, have signed up to a coalition to help fight IS in Iraq and Syria.
En Syrie,
this terrorist movement has spread in a whole territory in Iraq, in Syria. This terrorist movement ignores borders and has the ambition to build a state. That is the threat. It is global. So there must be a global answer. This conference has only one goal: to bring the necessary political support to the new Iraqi authorities to fight a major threat called Daesh that is posing a major risk for Iraq, for the Middle East and for the world.
The conference follows a whirlwind tour of the Middle East by US Secretary of State John Kerry. Kerry, who's also attending the summit, has been drumming up support for a plan of action unveiled by President Barack Obama last week. On Saturday, a video emerged showing the murder of British aid worker David Haines, apparently at the hand of IS fighters. Islamic State controls large parts of Iraq and Syria. The CIA estimates that the group could have as many as 30,000 fighters in the region. Iraqi President Fuad Massoum, who is co-hosting the conference, said the international community must pursue the jihadists wherever they were.
In other international news, the campaigns for and against Scottish independence are heating up with just days to go before the highly anticipated vote. Scotland's First Minister Alex Salmond and Prime Minister David Cameron are due to hit the Scottish campaign trail ahead of Thursday's independence vote. Salmond is to join business leaders to argue that a yes vote would help to grow Scotland's economy. Cameron will be in Scotland to give a speech arguing there are strong head and heart reasons to vote no.
In Edinburgh, the No campaigners waved British flags and sang "God Save the Queen." Queen Elizabeth has been largely silent on the matter until yesterday, when she reportedly commented on it after a morning church service near the Balmoral estate in Scotland. The Times newspaper says she told someone in the crowd, quote, "I hope people will think very carefully about the future," unquote. That sentiment was echoed by Labour MP Alistair Darling, who's leading the Better Together effort.
We're saying is, if you've got any doubts about this, then don't do it. You wouldn't do it in any personal decision you would make. And this decision isn't just for you, it's for your family, it's for your country, which is why we think people will say no thanks on Thursday.
Yes campaigners, meanwhile, staged one of their biggest rallies in Glasgow, Scotland's second largest city. Scottish National Party leader Alex Salmond was all smiles as he posed for selfies with independent supporters. He accused the other side of fear-mongering.
So we've got the big battalions trotted out, organised by Downing Street, to say the 7 plagues of Egypt will descend upon Scotland on Friday if we vote yes on Thursday. But I think people in Scotland are now of an attitude that no, this is a prosperous nation, they want it to be a just society. And that's why this joyful, liberating and empowering campaign is moving its way forward.
Polls show the vote is split nearly evenly down the middle, but with a large number of voters still undecided, leaving many people on edge.
We're all biting our nails down to our knuckles.
More than 4 million people have registered to vote in the referendum.
Newsfirst Daniela Demel in Manchester, England joins us now with the latest on the run-up to the historic referendum.
With 3 full days of campaigning left before the vote, politicians on both sides of the debate are set to renew efforts to win over undecided voters. The latest polls suggest the independence vote remains too close to call. 3 polls published at the weekend have put the No campaign in the lead, while one has put the pro-independence Yes campaign ahead. All over the UK there is a mood of suspense as the union waits on the Scots to make their final decision. I've been Daniela Demel reporting for News First from Manchester, England.
Sports news. The Minister of Sports advised the President and Secretary of Sri Lanka Cricket once again today to resolve existing differences of opinion and work together with mutual cooperation. A communique issued by the Ministry of Sports noted that the Minister had issued these instructions in a special meeting with SLC President Jayant Dharmadasa and Secretary Nishantha Ranatunga this morning.
This is the second occasion on which the Sri Lanka Cricket President and Secretary have met with the Minister of Sports to iron out their differences. The communique issued by the Ministry of Sports noted that both the President and Secretary of SLC had promised before the Minister that they would work together in harmony. The communique reads further that the Minister had called on the pair to leave aside communication errors and work with commitment for the progress of cricket in Sri Lanka, targeting the 2015 Cricket World Cup. It was also decided at this meeting that the members of SLC Executive Committee would be informed of this consensus at the SLC Exco meeting scheduled for this evening. However, Exco members including SLC Treasurer Nukshi Mohammed and Vice President Asanga Senaviratna informed Sports First following this evening's meeting that there had been no such notification. Following the SLC Exco meeting, SLC President Jayant Dharmadasa noted there is no conflict between him and Secretary Nishantha Ranatunga.
අමතුතුමා කිව්වා අමතුතුමා ප්‍රෙස් රිලීස් එකක් දෙනවා කියලා.
අද ප්‍රෙස් රිලීස් එකේ තියෙනවා විධායකවරු සමාජිකයන් දැනුවත් කරනවා කියලා ඔබතුමායි ලේකම්තුමා අතර උපදේශාවයක් ඇති වුණා කියලා. එහෙම දැනුම්දීමක් කරාද විධායකවරු සමාජිකයන්ට?
අමතුතුමා කියපු දේවල් කෙරුවා.
විධායකවරු සමාජිකයන් කියනවා එහෙම දෙයක් වුණේ නැහැ කියලා.
හා මන් දන්නේ අමතුතුමා
ගැටුමේතර
කොයි
ලේකම්තුමා සහ ඔබතුමා අතර පවතින ගැටුම
නෑ ඔය වැරදි කෙනෙක්ට කතා කරන්න මගේ කිසිම ගැටුමක් නෑ.
එහෙනම් ඔබතුමාලා අමතුමා හමුුනේ අද?
අමතුතුමා එන්න කිව්ව නිසා.
ආයි කියන්නේ ඔබතුමායි ලේකම්තුමා අතර ගැටුමක් නැහැ.
නෑ මම දන්නේ එකක් නෑ.
බොහොම ස්තුතියි.
ගැටුමක් තියෙනවා මේ මතපය තියෙනවා.
Sri Lanka Cricket announced today that Kitturuwan Vitanage has been given a suspended ban of 1 year following an incident where he breached the players' code of conduct during the recently concluded test against Pakistan in Galle. The decision was reached after the Sri Lanka Cricket Disciplinary Committee submitted a report on the incident to the Executive Committee today.
Well, with that, we wrap up primetime news for tonight. It was an absolute pleasure having you with us. This is Stephanie Lazarus.
I'm Shane Silva. Take care and good night.